What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about Faraday Future. I want to go over that 8K that just came out, break it down on what it truly does mean. Aside from that though, I want to go over how Friday is day number 1. So I'm going to go over all that, but first make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that, let's get right to it. So Friday it went down 9.18%. After hours it is up 6.4%, largely based off of that 8K. For volume, a fair amount for it being a Friday. So 10.3 million shares were traded, 12.07 is the average. Today there was no news, so last news came out on March the 4th, but there was a SEC filing submitted after hours, and that SEC filing was this. So when I did open it, I did have to double check to ensure that I didn't open up Palantir, because I saw Palantir oddly listed. And I honestly never knew that Palantir was going after Faraday, especially based on, I guess, starting mid-2021. But beside the point, it does look like on March 11th, 2024, they did come to a conclusion. So the company, aka Faraday and Palantir, entered into a settlement and release agreement pursuant to which, among other things, so I kind of highlighted that because that's very, very great to say among other things, but the company, so Faraday, agrees to pay Palantir $5 million in 4 quarterly installments in 2024. And so ultimately, I think Palantir got the shit end of the stick, because I don't think they realized that based on Faraday's last earnings, they had 6.71 million in cash equivalent short-term investments. They've yet to submit their Q4 earnings, which is very, very delayed. But beside the point, most likely they have very close to nil for cash, unless they've been diluting to Kingdom Come, which they definitely could have been, but they have very little cash. Even looking right here, their market cap right now at the time doing this video is 4.55 million. So I don't understand how Palantir is expecting that they're going to get paid 5 million. You can't get blood from a stone, essentially. So I don't know, but still, no matter what, this was a kind of an interesting twist. I wasn't really anticipating to see any word of Palantir ever in correlation with Faraday. But all in all, despite this though, even though it's not good or advantageous for Faraday, it is causing it to go up, like I mentioned, about 6.4%. Then again, after hours is kind of like the Wild West, so you can kind of see just very little volume just based off of that. So take that with a grain of salt. It looks like just small amounts of shares being purchased. So who knows? Let me know your thoughts on this news. Like I kind of mentioned, I've been covering Faraday for a very long time, and I did not know that Palantir was going after them due to the master subscription agreement. That was from July 12th, 2021. But when it comes down to some of the data points, I'm going to talk on that first prior to me going over why Friday was day number 1. So starting off with shorts. So Ortex is having difficulty amending, obviously post reverse stock split, because they don't have the new number, new outstanding share number. And all of that factors into this number right here. So as of right now, it still does show 109.31% of the free float is being shorted. And so essentially you kind of have to just take 1/3 of that because of 1-for-3 reverse stock split. But it does also look like behind the scenes it's not really updating. So I think Ortex is just waiting for hopefully Faraday's earnings, which right now are kind of MIA. So when Faraday submits them is anyone's guess. Of course, they are very much late right now by 2 weeks, so 15 days essentially. Right now it is still on the threshold list, so that's something to kind of keep in mind. If a company is on the threshold list for 13 consecutive trading days, this is where in theory the SEC should be stepping in and forcing the market makers to cover that. But so far I haven't seen any company or the SEC do that in any case. Right now, cost to borrow average is 19.31 and utilization is at 100%. Moving on to options, very little volume. So it is very abnormal to see the actual common stock have so much volume, but yet you don't really see the corresponding increase in options. But $631 in calls being purchased today versus 819. I don't think I've ever seen any company this low. But of the call options that are being purchased, the sentiment is indicating roughly about 57% of all of that is bearish. And plus, with it at like 10 cents or 9 cents now, there's no point in doing calls or puts unless you're shorting. Then you can kind of hedge with calls. But aside from that, there's very little kind of optimism with Faraday. And that's something I have been bringing up for almost 3 months now, that I do anticipate another reverse stock split to come sooner rather than later. but potentially it might get worse. And so I'm going to talk all about that right now. So on Friday, essentially, that is where it is day number 1. So technically it closed below 10 cents. So NASDAQ has a rule that any company trading below 10 cents for 10 consecutive trading days are kicked off. Of course, any company could appeal that. You just pay $20,000 and it goes to a hearing panel. And so when it comes down to the hearing panel, if that is the scenario, Faraday already isn't in their good books because they're very late with their earnings, and usually in the past they have been very late. So essentially, as of right now, Faraday is in a world of pain because last time they actually did dip below that 10-cent mark, they had that 1-for-3 reverse stock split already in their back pocket, rubber stamped and approved by shareholders. So they could always enact that to kind of rectify it, right? So this time around, they have nothing. They have nothing to get it back over that 10-cent mark naturally or either artificially that could help. So this time around, it does look like this might be the final blow for them to actually get delisted, go down to OTC. Of course, like I said, they could appeal it and that might kind of lengthen their optimism or their chances to kind of rectify it, whether it be another reverse stock split. But still, there's absolutely no incentive to buy Faraday. And over the last couple of videos, I've been pointing out that this is extremely bearish. And surprisingly, I still see almost every single video. I don't know if people are trolling me or not, but they are saying that they are buying and averaging down. I have no clue what kind of level of optimism people have with Faraday, unless it's just greed or maybe they're just wanting money to write off or something like that as losses. I have absolutely no clue. There's absolutely nothing to really buy Faraday or reason to buy Faraday right now, especially considering they are essentially going to get delisted. And if they somehow do manage to get over that 10-cent mark, they're still deficient with that $1 bid price rule. So meaning they will have to do a very massive reverse stock split, another one. And so in case you are new to Faraday, ultimately this is what it's at as far as splits. So they did a 1-for-80 August 28th, 2023, and then a 1-for-3 March 1st, 2024. So they barely lasted, I think it was like a good 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks before it dipped once again below that 10-cent mark. And that's why they did this one, the 1-for-3 so fast. So all in all, definitely a very interesting 8K. Was not anticipating Palantir, and the fact that Faraday has to pay $5 million, I just see that as more so the dagger and potentially could lead them to bankruptcy. So when it comes down to bankruptcy, if a company is diluting to kingdom come, I don't mean to say that's better, but that is probably better than actually having debt on your books, because Faraday right now does have $134.74 million in debt. At any time, any one of those creditors, including potentially Palantir, could just say, you know what, we're going to take you to court so they can actually kind of impose bankruptcy on you because you have more debt than your cash. And so in essence, they could be forced into bankruptcy because there's two different ways, right? You can be forced through the courts or voluntary. No company ever really likes to do it voluntarily, but they could be filing bankruptcy at any moment. Faraday most likely won't. They'll just dilute to kingdom come, which as of right now really decentivizes any investor on ever investing in Faraday right now. But who knows? Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. If you are buying, let me know why in the comments below. One final thing, take advantage of this promo. So even though Faraday is going down considerably, take advantage of some free shares. So simply sign up for a new account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.